Hello, this is Clinton Hobart, and welcome to painting number 2 in the Cottage Series, what I'm calling the Cottage Series, which is me painting what I would consider to be my standard 6x8 miniature paintings. Only with this series, they are painted on vintage sheets of wallpaper that I have glued and mounted to a canvas or a panel, and it acts as a canvas. I just thought this would be fun. The subject of this one is mushrooms, more accurately king trumpet mushrooms that I picked up from a Korean grocery store in New Jersey, where my mother lives. And Korean grocery stores have really great produce that you don't really see in your regular run-of-the-mill grocery store. And these king trumpet mushrooms are, they're a blast. I've painted them lots of times. If you're familiar with my work, you've seen me paint these things plenty, but never in the Cottage series because it's new. And so I thought it'd be fun to put some mushrooms on some vintage wallpaper. This is a greenish blue that you can see. I bought an entire book of the vintage wallpaper, and so I'm trying to match light objects on the darker backgrounds, dark objects on the lighter backgrounds. And so I'm not going to get into a tremendous amount of technique. The point of these videos is not necessarily just a how-to. I mean, it will be a how-to, but I realize that maybe not everybody watching these wants to learn how to paint. Some people watching these are maybe collectors of mine or friends of mine who just, want to check out a quick video on how this is done. The video is about under 10 minutes. I'm trying to keep them under 10 minutes. The actual painting time is in the neighborhood of 6 hours. If I made a 6-hour video of me painting these mushrooms, I couldn't finish it. I'd give it maybe 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes is a good painting video number. My teacher was Daniel Green. He had painting videos. I don't think I ever saw the end of a single one of them. And so keeping it short, try to keep it interesting and fun. If you're interested in the colors that I'm using, or the shots of the palette, or that heavy technical stuff, I will go into that. I usually go into that on my Patreon, and there'll be links to the video, to the website to buy this, or to the Patreon, or any other sort of marketing tricks that I'll be utilizing throughout the course of these things. I plan on being honest, and so feel free to make any comments you want. You can ask any question you want. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. But for the most part, this video will focus on the first sitting, which is usually with these 6x8s. They're 2-3 hour sittings for a total of 6 hours, and the first wave of these videos, the first 8, 9, 10 maybe, I'm not sure, are going to be on the first day. I will get into subsequent layers and paintings and things like that as we go along, but for right now the videos are just going to be the first day. And the reason for that, again, and just being honest, is that I don't actually paint well with a camera on me. A lot of the time when I was making demos or things like that, I have to turn the camera off and fix something and then turn it back on, which is why these are a mixture of, videos of me actually painting, which is what we've got right now, and then you'll see it switches to a time lapse. And I'm a little bit more comfortable painting with the time lapse than I am. It just feels like there's somebody staring at me. It's like you got a dog looking at you. I just feel like the camera behind me is someone staring at me while I'm trying to paint. It freaks me out. And so I'm trying to get used to it. We'll see how this. The original idea was that this is going to be 100 paintings. This series. I've got 100 sheets of this wallpaper. I was going to make this 100, and so maybe by the end of once we hit maybe like 97 or 98, I'll get comfortable painting in front of the camera. In however many years that will. I'm trying to try to do it in under a year. We'll see. I'm not going to be doing one a day. I can't put that kind of pressure on myself because I got to paint, and then I got to make this video, and then I got to stand here and do the voiceover that you're listening to. And none of this stuff happens in the first shot for me. I'm on my third voiceover because the last video there was like 30 seconds of silence where I couldn't remember what I wanted to say. And so, I was gonna initially try to keep it to one fresh audio take, and that was it. And this is it. Whatever I say here is sticking because I'm not doing it a fourth time. And so that's where it is. And then I probably should talk more about the paint part. And we went from a dark. The general rule of thumb for this approach, which again was taught to me by my teacher Daniel Green, is that you paint from the deepest darks up to the lightest lights. And so mushrooms, however, they're pretty light in general. There's not a whole lot of deep darks in these king trumpet mushrooms. That I've been painting a portobello, maybe they would have been a little bit darker. Underneath them, where they're hitting the surface, is probably the darkest point. But for the most part, they're mid-value range. And so I started with the shadows, and then I'm slowly working my way up. But there's plenty of videos that I'll be getting into the value range and things like that. You can see it jumped to the background, which I had to put in just to make the mushrooms pop a little bit off the surface. The brushes that I'm using are actually watercolor brushes. They are Princeton 4050Rs, which I may or may not have mentioned. I'm going to mention them in every video on the hopes that the good people at the Princeton Brush Company will start sending me some free brushes. I've been using these. I've had a lot of people try to convince me to use other brushes, but I love these things. And so I just keep using them. What it is? They're short handle and they feel like pencils. And my background was in drawing and illustration, which we'll get more into at some point, but not this video. In fact, we are coming rapidly to the end. At the end, there is going to be a shot of the finished painting coming up in a few seconds when we get to this point. And again, thanks for watching, and links will be on my website.